I grew up believing a lie. Where I'm from, the gold mine wasn't just a workplace. It was the heart of the city. That's what everyone said. The heart that gave us jobs, electricity, food on the table. When the sirens sounded at the end of each shift, it felt like the city was breathing out in relief. We survived another day. My father worked there for more than 20 years. When I was a kid, he would come home covered in dust, lay his helmet on the table, and say, "As long as this mine is running, we'll be okay." Then the war came. On the radio, they talked about battles, tanks, and borders. But inside our home, the wars sounded different. The silence when the pantry was almost empty, my parents whispering at night, the way my mother started hiding bills in the drawer. One afternoon, my father walked in earlier than usual. No dust, no helmet, just a folded piece of paper in his hand. "Lack of production," he said, staring at the floor. "They cut me." That's when our real war started. Groceries went on credit. The electricity bill rolled over to next month. Medicine was cut in half, one pill instead of two. At first, we told ourselves it was temporary. But then the mine shut down for safety reasons. Officially, the heart of the city stopped beating. But every night, I saw something that didn't fit the story. Unmarked trucks. No company logo, no lights on. Rolling past our street, heading straight toward the abandoned mine. Over and over. That contradiction, poverty spreading in daylight, movement and money flowing in the dark, planted a question in me that changed my life. If the mine was dead, why were the trucks still alive? In this video, I want to take you with me into that question. Because Helena's story isn't just about war or gold. It's about something that may be happening, quietly, in your own life. A hidden financial war you might not even see. Before we go deeper, tell me, do you ever feel like money is moving around you, but never really in your favor? If that resonates, stay with me. Subscribe, and let's start uncovering the invisible forces shaping your financial story, so you can finally take control of it. I still remember the day everything snapped. I was at the kitchen table, trying to make my father's numbers make sense. The same table where he used to come home, laugh, drop a little gold dust on a plate, and say, "This is the heart of our town, Helena. As long as the mine beats, we live." But that day, there was no dust, just a thin envelope. "Lack of production," the letter said, as if the problem were his hands, not the machines that had been slowing down for months, not the strange new foreman with briefcases instead of helmets, not the orders from above that no one could quite explain. My mother read the letter once, folded it, and placed it under the salt jar. That's where unpaid bills went. The salt jar was getting heavier. From that week on, our life became a slow rationing of everything. Bread was no longer bought, it was negotiated. "Put it on our account, please. We'll pay next month." Electricity became a calendar game. If we leave the lights off 3 nights in a row, maybe they won't cut it this month. Medicine was cut in half, literally. My brother's pills, split with a dull knife, so they would last twice as long and work half as well. And we weren't alone. In the bakery line, everyone talked in whispers about the crisis, the war, the mine. But no one had real information. Only rumor, fear, and that quiet shame that comes when the numbers stop adding up. Then came the official announcement. The mine would be temporarily shut down for safety reasons. Sirens, speeches, a public statement, and silence underground. At least, that's what they wanted us to believe. Because a few nights later, I woke up to a sound that didn't fit the script. Engines. Heavy trucks, no logos, no lights, rolling toward a mine that was supposedly asleep. That was the first time I realized something important. While we were counting coins, someone else was counting on our ignorance. Have you ever felt that, like your life is being decided in a room you're not allowed to enter? If this hits close to home, stay with me. In the next part of Helena's story, I'll show you what she found when she decided to walk toward those trucks, instead of pretending she didn't hear them. The next morning, everything in our house felt smaller. My father's work boots were by the door, like always, but for the first time, they were clean. That scared me more than anything. Boots should be dirty. Boots should come home tired. Boots sitting there, polished and unused, meant something was deeply wrong. My mother tried to pretend. She spread margarine thinner on the bread, like she could stretch it into security. She folded the electricity bill in half, then in half again, as if making it smaller could make it disappear. But numbers don't vanish just because you look away. They wait. At first, we survived on what most families rely on in quiet emergencies, a friendly grocer willing to write our name down in a little notebook. "You can pay me later, Helena," he'd say. Later became a date that no one could name. Then the mine reduced operations. Then suspended activities. Finally, closed for safety reasons. That phrase spread across town like a contagious lie. Safety for whom? Certainly not for the families now counting beans instead of coins. I watched our neighbors change. Not suddenly, but in small, unsettling ways. The butcher started wrapping meat in thinner paper, cutting more fat, less flesh. The pharmacist, once generous with advice and samples, now kept his eyes on the floor when people asked for medicine on credit. Kids I used to see running in the street were suddenly helping at home, which meant working, quietly, for almost nothing. But the city itself, it told a different story at night. From my bedroom window, you could see the road that led to the mine, officially abandoned, sealed off, and under inspection. Yet, around midnight, trucks with no markings crawled up that road, engines low, headlights dimmed. No logos. No workers changing shifts. Just shadows moving gold in the dark while we counted coins in the light. That was when a quiet anger started to grow in me. Not the shouting kind, the organizing kind. The kind that says, if I don't understand how this works, I'll always be on the losing side. Have you ever had that moment, when you suddenly realize other people seem to know the rules of a game you're losing? If this is resonating so far, stay with me. Because in the next part, I'll show you how the first clue I found in that abandoned mine completely changed how I see money, and how you can use that same insight to rewrite your own financial story. I remember the night I finally decided to follow the trucks. The mine had been shut down for weeks. Officially, it was a matter of safety, structural risks, impossible to keep operating, they said. Yet every few nights, around midnight, I heard the low, muffled growl of engines rolling toward the gate. No lights on. No company logo, just shadows on wheels. One evening, after seeing my mother slice a single potato into 4 parts to make it last, I couldn't stand it anymore. My father sat silent at the table, staring at his empty hands the way he once stared at gold veins in the rock. That same night, when the engines started humming in the distance, I put on my coat and slipped out. From the hill above the mine, I watched them. 3 trucks, tarps sagging under their own weight, entering through the main gate that was supposedly locked and sealed. A flashlight beam flashed twice. The guardhouse door opened. No inspection. No questions. The trucks rolled straight in. The mine was dead, yet money was clearly still being made. Just not for us. The next day, I started listening more carefully to what adults said when they thought we weren't paying attention. At the bakery line, I heard, "They say the ore's gone." But that man, Eduardo, he just bought the mill. Cash. At the pharmacy, he took over the landlord's house, too. Paid off the bank in a week. Always the same name. Always the same rumor. Paying in full, paying fast, paying when everyone else was begging for extensions. Meanwhile, we had a notebook full of what the grocer called temporary credit and the electricity company called final warning. That contrast burned in me. If the mine was truly unproductive, where was all this cash coming from? How could one man be so liquid while the rest of us were trapped in delayed payments and broken promises? Let me ask you, have you ever felt like that? Like someone else seems to move freely while you're stuck negotiating every bill, every purchase, every late fee? If this resonates, stay with me. In the next part, I'll show you exactly what I uncovered, and how understanding that hidden system changed the way I handle my own money, for good. I remember the exact night when everything finally clicked. I was sitting at the kitchen table, surrounded by bills. My father was at the sink, staring out the window at the dark silhouette of the mine on the hill. It looked dead from the outside. No lights, no movement. But I knew better. I'd seen the trucks. I had my notebook open. Names, dates, numbers. It looked nothing like a school notebook and everything like a detective's file. That's when I drew the first big circle in the center of the page and wrote one word: control. Around it, I started mapping what I'd discovered. On one side, families losing their homes, stores closing doors, farmers selling land cheap just to survive. On the other side, one man quietly buying everything, always paying in cash, cash that matched the missing gold from the mine. 2 worlds. Same city, same crisis, different outcomes. What was the difference? information and structure. He had access to information no one else had. Real production numbers, real gold flows, real timing of the shutdown. But it wasn't just that. He was prepared to act. While the town was drowning in chaos, he had a plan, liquidity, and a strategy. That realization hit me harder than any bomb falling far away at the front. I had spent my whole life believing that our tragedy came from bad luck, war, or the crisis. But sitting there, I realized something brutal. We weren't just poor. We were disorganized. And our disorganization made us easy to control. Our debts weren't just numbers on paper. They were leashes. Our lack of savings wasn't just inconvenient. It was a weapon someone else could use. That night, I made myself a quiet promise. Even if I couldn't change the past, I would never again walk blind into the next invisible war. Tell me something. Do you ever feel like there's a hidden game being played with your money, one you were never properly taught the rules to? If you do, stay with me. In the next part, I'm going to take everything I learned from that financial battlefield and turn it into clear, practical moves you can use right now. So you're not the one being played, but the one choosing your own next move. I remember the first time I saw the hidden ledger. By then, the town was already collapsing. Houses that used to smell like fresh bread now smelled like damp walls and cheap candles. The butcher's shop had more dust than meat. My father spent his days sitting on the doorstep, pretending he was resting, but I could see it in his hands. He felt useless. That night, following those unmarked trucks, I slipped through a side entrance of the mine and into an office I wasn't supposed to see. One drawer was locked. Miners had taught me, every lock is just a question looking for the right answer. I found the answer in a ring of keys. Inside, 2 notebooks. The first one, the official ledger, showed what we all knew. Production low, costs high. Mine unsustainable. A dead heart. The second one, that was the real story. Neat handwriting. Exact amounts of gold. Transfers to companies with names I'd never heard. Payments in cash. No taxes. No records in town. In that moment, something clicked. The mine hadn't died. It had been moved. Quietly. On paper. Our lives weren't destroyed by bad luck or war. They were destroyed by decisions made in silence, in numbers, in ledgers no one was supposed to see. And I realized, my family also had 2 ledgers. The one we talked about at dinner. We're surviving. It'll get better. At least we still have the house. And the hidden one. Overdue bills shoved in a drawer, interest growing like mold, small loans from neighbors, medicine bought on credit, my mother skipping meals because I'm not hungry. In the mine, they used secrecy to steal the future of an entire city. At home, our own lack of clarity was stealing our future in slow motion. That night, walking back under a moon that looked like a coin, I made myself a promise. I would never again live with 2 ledgers. Not in a mine. Not in my house. Not in my life. Tell me, if you opened your second ledger today, what would really be there? If this is resonating with you, stay with me. In the next part, I'll show you exactly how I turned that realization into practical steps to take back control, and you'll be able to do the same. I remember the exact day I realized my own mine was shutting down. It wasn't a siren or a big announcement. It was my banking app. One afternoon, between 2 work meetings, I opened it just to check something quickly. And for the first time, I didn't see numbers. I saw tunnels. Money going out automatically. Little charges I had forgotten. Interest quietly eating away at what I thought was my income. On the surface, my life was functioning. Rent paid, fridge not empty, bills more or less on time. But underneath, there was a different story. A story of slow leakage. Just like Helena's town, I realized there was a hidden war happening behind my everyday routine. No one was closing a gold mine in my city, but I had my own version of safety procedures, unnecessary insurance I never asked for, maintenance costs, subscriptions I didn't use, temporary adjustments, interest and fees I had accepted as normal. The mine, for Helena, was supposed to be the source of stability. My paycheck was supposed to be the same thing for me. But when I started tracing where every dollar went, I saw the same pattern she did. The value was being extracted somewhere else. That's when something shifted. I stopped asking, why don't I make more money? And I started asking, who or what is quietly buying pieces of my future? That question is uncomfortable, but it's powerful, because once you ask it, you can't unsee it. You begin to notice Which expenses are actually debts in disguise? Which comforts are actually traps? Which habits are actually invisible tunnels draining your energy and options? If you're still here with me, I'm curious. Have you ever had that moment? Opening your bank account or your credit card bill and feeling like there's a whole other story happening behind the numbers? Tell me in the comments. What was your hidden war moment? And if this kind of deep, practical reflection helps you see your finances differently, consider subscribing. In the next part, I'll walk you step by step through how to seal those tunnels and start reclaiming the gold of your own life. When I look back at Helena standing at the edge of that mine, I see more than a girl in a ruined town. I see all of us staring at an economy we were told to trust until it stopped working for us. Her city didn't fall in a day. It fell in small, quiet concessions. A bill postponed just this month. Medicine cut in half. A loan signed with a shaky hand and hopeful eyes. A job lost, but the lifestyle maintained until things get better. On the surface, it was about gold and war. But underneath, it was about information and control. The men in the black trucks knew exactly how much gold was leaving that mine. They knew where it was going, who was paying, which properties to buy, and when people would be desperate enough to sell. Helena's family, and everyone around them, were fighting blind. What broke that cycle wasn't a miracle. It wasn't a hero descending from the sky. It was Helena picking up a notebook, a pencil, and deciding to see. In our world, you don't have to sneak into a mine to uncover the hidden war. You just have to be willing to open your bank statement without flinching, to put your debts side by side and face the numbers, to list your expenses and admit, this is bleeding me dry, and then cut it, to call, renegotiate, say no, and protect a small reserve like it's your own vault. Because the rule Helena discovered in the dark tunnels still applies in your living room. Whoever controls the flow of resources and the clarity of information controls